Welcome back to the Profit School podcast. Today we have a special, different episode than what we've been doing lately. Today we're going to build something live. So we're going to be experimenting with vibe coding, vibe marketing for a live campaign that we are going to be running for Measure You, our sister brand to Profit School. So I'm Jeff Sauer. I'm here with Mercer. Hey, Mercer, how's it going?
I'm just looking for some vibe coding. This is like exciting stuff. And I know that you have gotten ahead of me for sure on this. And you were showing me some stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, man, this is super cool. So I cannot wait for this.
Yeah, so we're going to be putting out good vibes into the world around our marketing, around coding. And we're going to show you how to do it, and we're going to see how this goes. And if you like this, let us know, because we want to keep on doing stuff like this, because we've been experimenting a lot behind the scenes, and we're ready to bring that to the surface and show you how you can do these things yourselves. So if you want to get rid of some common bottlenecks in your marketing and your design process, we're going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and get us in here. And Mercer, feel free to ask questions as we're going along, and tell me what you're not seeing, what you're seeing. But I'm actually, this is like a cooking show, so I'm sort of skipping a little bit ahead because of a few reasons, but I'll show you how this works. But right now I'm in Firebase Studio, which is a free tool provided by Google. It is a no-code tool where you can build an entire app all in one spot. And all you need is a Gemini API key, which if you're on the Google Suite, you can just go ahead and have it generate an API key for you in your project, and you are good to go. Now, I'm going to show you how I got here in just a second, but just so you know, I went ahead and I took the entire Measure You homepage, and yesterday I recreated it. It's not pixel perfect, but that's not the point, inside of Firebase Studio. And the way that I did it, as you can see, is I just took a screenshot of each part of the site, and I said, can you recreate this thing? So if we go all the way up to the top, it says, okay, let's redesign. So I created an app, first of all, which I'll show you how to do in a second.
Just real quick, I want to give a little context. So Firebase is Google's Bolt. They're lovable. They're app builder tool. This is a free tool that everybody can use. And all you need is just a Google account. Like I haven't created one yet. So that's what I'm asking, but it's like, you just go to firebase.google.com, create your account. Then it looks like this. There's no real setup or anything. You have to
Studio.Firebase. It's called Firebase Studio. So it's actually another product in the Firebase family.
Yep.
And if you look here, the first thing it had me do, so I just said, this is what I said. I said, I want to create a new app called Measure You. That's all that I did. And then it goes ahead and creates it. It comes up with a color scheme, which is not necessarily our color scheme, but actually it is. I didn't even tell it that. Yeah. It must have just pulled that from our website. And it creates all the code behind the scenes. Okay. And then it actually ended up creating 14 or 16 different files.
That's cool. All
kinds of stuff in here, right? Convert, all kinds of stuff there. And then it says, enter your Gemini API key. This is how you end up paying for this, quote unquote. But actually it just says, right, if you, you can hit auto generate. That's a button that's enabled, and it just did that for me. And I had an app here. So I didn't go into a credit card, no billing or anything. And I assume it's only because I'm on Google Suite. So we are on Google Suite. Most of you are on Google Suite. You have Gemini included in that. So that's just one of the perks and benefits of it. Now they raised the price by about $2, I think, per person because of this. But man, the benefits for that extra $2 is insane. So then I said, let's redesign the homepage, starting with the hero section to match this page. So all I did was paste this. This is a screenshot from here.
So that's just an image at that point. You're not doing URLs. Okay, cool.
Exactly. I found that their image recognition is really good. It's actually so good that it created a whole community menu on here for me in HTML and in code. Wow. The first time I did it. So I had to do a few things. And I said, okay, you fix these things, match the background gradient. Nothing's perfect, but it did a pretty good job. And even to get the gradient to work, I had to get into the code a little, or drop the code from our site in there to make it perfect, or how we wanted it to, but it worked. So then all I did was I just took screenshots of everything on the page, Mercer, and just dropped it in there. And I dropped the code for our testimonials. So that's actually in there working right now. Then I dropped the code for this part, or I just put an image there, and then I dropped in our framework, and it generated that. Now, even look here, it actually, it parses out the text.
Interesting. It's trying to build it. That's not just an image. That's like an HTML. Could be an interactive thing or something.
Yeah, that's exactly. Cool. Yeah. So, and you can work on that. You can just be like, hey, I actually want you to build this as an app. That's in here, cool. We could build this as a working app, Mercer, where it's like animated and goes through the steps. We could do that inside of Firebase Studio. So let me go back to how we got this thing going in the first place. Okay. So I want to make sure that we're all clear. So you go to studio.firebase.com, and you get if you don't join the developer program, you don't get any more spaces. So you get 3 spaces. That's important. That's why on this one right now, I'm not going to go and join the program. I'm just going to show you what we have. If we were starting from scratch, I would actually be in this screen and I'd tell it to prototype an app. This is where I said, create an app for Measure You right here. This is blurred out because I already have the 3 apps. So Mercer, in theory, you could create 3 more apps, and somebody else on our team, Gowrie, could create 3 more apps, and we could have 9 of them, and other people can create them and then just share. So I can share within here. I just hit share, and that's how I've shared this with you, Mercer. You can have it on your end, and Gowrie, and we can all work together on this. And actually, we have a shared chat as well inside of here. So maybe we can do that in another video. Maybe another podcast. Mercer's just setting this up from scratch.
Yeah.
But I really want to get into marketing. I don't want to talk too much about the technical thing. I want to actually build a page and just show people the capabilities and how powerful this is going forward. Okay. So that's where we're at. So I've recreated the page. This is it's not a pixel for pixel replica of our homepage, but you can see these are embedded in there. We can load more testimonials. It's all working. And then it even has our navigation. So it looks like home. Okay. It's, I'm watching this show right now called The Rehearsal with Nathan Fielder, and basically like recreate everything in like a sound stage. We are in the sound stage of Measure You right now. This is a rehearsal, which is pretty funny because that's a brilliant show. And also that's what I want to do. I don't want to put this stuff live, right? I'm not that comfortable doing it yet. So we have a replica of the homepage. Now, what I want to do, the task I want to do is Mercer and I have a workshop coming up, or Mercer's doing a workshop on a Saturday about how to use Google Gemini. Or actually just Google's AI's tools. And we want to create a sales page for it. Now, in the past, creating a sales page for us has been up and down and challenging for a few different reasons, and mainly because we're not professional copywriters. We are not professional designers, but we know good copy when we see it. We know good design when we see it. And so it's hard to translate not being able to write the copy yourself into a good page. So we want to create a good page. And I think we've cracked the code on how to do that. And that's what we're trying to show you here. And we're also using this time to build our own marketing, because that's pretty fun to build our own marketing. Okay. So we're building in public for the Measure You brand. Now you might notice some weird things here. Like, why does it say 150 by 40 and not have the Measure You logo? You can actually go ahead and you can put images in here, but it's sort of painful to do that. You have to go into like to a folder in here. You have to create a public folder. You have to upload your logo and do all kinds of stuff. And I find that sometimes it does break this. So I don't really use the images on here unless I really need to see it in order to make a design decision. So the logo is not in here. Maybe we'll add that in there a little bit later just so we can see it. But right now we have a remake of our homepage. Now that we have a homepage, what I want to do, the final step I have that I did beforehand is I said, hey, I want to create a landing page now. So I said, can you create something called Lander? And that's a fresh page. So the homepage won't get touched at all. But if I navigate over here to Lander, this is a brand new page based on that template. And when I even got it to say, I even started to have
just real quick, you typed in Lander, you hit enter, but it doesn't say Lander there. Does it always do that? Where
it's super finicky. Okay. So if I click on open a new window, this is how you can test it. And if somebody else has shared the project, you can see that this is actually on Lander.
Okay, gotcha. That's cool. Okay.
Yeah. What I'll do, Mercer, oftentimes is I'll change the headline in order to have it match. I'll just say this is Lander so that I know that I'm working on the right thing. Because I don't want to mess up my homepage once I've built it or once I've finalized it, Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So let me just go ahead and one thing. Okay. So I'm going to go right over to here and I'm going to move you over here so I can see you in the picture. I was looking on the other screen. I was like, that's not great podcasting when I see you on the other screen. So you're going to be right there with me as my co-pilot here, Mercer. Okay. So this is the Lander. And all that I did was I just said, hey, can you create a 2-column layout? Is what I said. And then, so here, okay. So I said, let's take the hero section and remove the video. Let's put in 2 columns. The right-hand column will be a placeholder image, 4:3 aspect ratio. I find that you have to be really explicit with that. Otherwise they take liberties. And the left will be a headline, subheadline, a button about learning more. And then I want 4 bullet points that are not like bullet points. They're in vertical. They're horizontal because they often forget that. So that's how you get these little sections here.
Interesting. Okay.
And so that was just me. This is me vibing it, right? I created a 2-column layout from our homepage with our gradient and everything. That gradient isn't perfect either. We might have to fix that a little bit later. You notice how it goes white to white. Can
I ask, in the way that you're writing that, are you talking to it? Like, is that voicing like you're just voice dictating, or are you actually thinking it through, kind of going like, is a checkbox with a, because I can see you sort of saying like they're bullet points, but not bullet points, but kind of checkbox, but with a yellow background. And it sort of feels like you're just talking to this thing.
Yeah, this is probably me talking. So I can, and actually I have a tool for that I use. So notice here, there's no microphone icon like there is in ChatGPT or Google Gemini or Claude even. So if I have to use something called Mac Whisper, and it's basically the weirdest thing. It's like a Gumroad page in order to buy this thing. And you can use this thing, an app on your computer that will allow you to do voice to text. There's Windows versions of this too, but basically all that I have to do is hit the command key, and then it starts talking. So whatever I say, it starts talking, and then it takes like a couple seconds, and then bam, whatever I say, it starts talking.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that's like your universal. If you want a voice input on anything, like your email or anything, you can use a specific tool for your operating system.
I love that. And when it comes to this, it is kind of vibey, right? Where you don't have to be exact and correct on how you're describing everything, because you're not talking to a developer who needs the exact code. You're just talking to this thing that kind of gets you and goes, I get what you're trying to say.
And in fact, I think the output's better when I talk versus when I tell.
Yeah, more detail.
Yeah,
I love that. It's a good tip.
Yeah. So we have the starting of a landing page, right? Now, what's the next thing you need when you need a landing? Well, first of all, you need an offer. You need to know who your customer is. You need to know a lot of stuff before we'd start building this thing out. I could write a headline, but that's going to be pretty bad because it's not based on anything. It's just me talking, right? So we're going to start doing our research that you would do for building a landing page next. Okay. So I'm going to go over to, there's a few different tools that I have, but this one, I'm going to start out with I'm going to do some market research. Now, this one this is in Poe, as you can see. This is a bot that you won't have access to, but we're actually working at Profit School to try to create a user research thing. I'm not going to get into the details of this. This is from Copy Coders, which if you want to join their program, we have an affiliate program with them. So you can let us know and we can give you a link to join Copy Coders if you want to have the access to these things once you see the 3 or 4 different Poe bots we're using. But note that these are going to be in Profit School at some point soon or something like this, but more specific to our audience and there. So I don't want to get into too many semantics there. You can check it out on your own time. But let's just say I want to do market research about our audience who would join this workshop. Okay. So we need to do 2 things, Mercer. One is enter a brief statement about who your target market is. And then 2, a brief statement about what your product is and the outcome it's designed to deliver. And we want to do this specifically for your Google AI workshop. Okay. So we can either type this in, we can talk into here, or we can say it. So I'm not sure if this will pick up on what you're saying, but I'm going to try using the microphone and then see if it picks up on what you're saying. So who is the target market for this workshop that you want to do? You're having them come in on a Saturday to learn Gemini AI.
So the target market for this group would be marketers who are trying to wrap their head around AI. They are looking for a reason to start using it. They know they got to start using it. They're starting to feel a little bit behind. They know that there's some advantages that AI can give them, and they need to be able to spend the time to learn that. And then the second question in terms of the brief statement about the product is designed to deliver the training on Google Gemini. So they understand how to use Gemini, how to build Gemini gems, how to prompt properly. And we will even have a guest appearance from Notebook LM and showing people how to take advantage of Google's Notebook LM product.
Excellent. It seems like it cut off there. So they want to learn Google Gemini. The whole Google AI suite of tools is on the table, right? There's going to be a guest appearance from Notebook LM, and it's about getting the results. Now, would you say that this group of people, they're interested in Gemini because they're already on Google Suite, so they want a tool that's built into what they're doing? They also maybe they find the other products confusing, like they find OpenAI's different models to be confusing, and that they're like, hey, I don't want to have 6 different subscriptions. I just want a workhorse that I can go with and put it in place. And is that accurate? Cool. All right. So I stopped the recording and I just wanted to get us enough stuff in there. So we're going to go ahead, and I'm not sure if that's relevant or not, but I do think that the more details you give, the better this is. So this is creating a profile of a persona. So this is who we're going after. We're going after Mike Robertson, who's a year younger than me. He lives in a mid-sized city, marketing business from his office. This is it, right? Experienced digital marketer who's built a solid business over the last decade. primarily serves local business and online clients. Starting to feel the pressure of AI changing the industry has a mix of excitement and anxiety. I think that's pretty accurate, pretty fair. I'm not going to go through all this stuff, but the core problems they want to adapt to AI, adopt AI while focusing behind where to start. Overwhelmed, fear of being irrelevant, FOMO, frustration, anxiety. Those are all pretty good. Fear, my competitors will steal my clients. Current skills are becoming obsolete within months. See, I feel all this stuff. I think this is like legit, right? How it affects relationships. They don't even discuss it because they're not sure if it's the right thing to do. Downplaying AI, because this is a lot of people doing this. Like, oh yeah, AI is stupid. It gave a result. It gave, it said something. It's like, okay, that's an edge case. Like, there's so many use cases for it being useful. Intimidated by more tech savvy employees. That's interesting. Struggling to provide leadership. That's a big one. Like, they're not leading their company all that well because they're just so
don't know how. They don't know that much about it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They're stopping doing mastermind groups. They're stopping learning because they feel like you could say this about me and you for a lot of these things. I think we feel a lot of these things too.
I think a lot of people have gone through this. Yep.
So this is huge. This
is my first 2 years with AI was like this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep. I don't have time. Google changes everything after I learn it. I'm not so like, these are all things. And then they actually can do some advanced research where it can be like, I'll just do the number one, and then you can see how powerful this thing is. This is not about selling the bot. It's about getting the information we need. While I'm waiting for that to paint, I'm going to take this whole thing and I'm going to put it into a document for us too.
So now we're just throwing it into a Google Doc.
Yep.
Okay. And is this something like you're kind of building assets now to build the thing you want to build? You're like, okay, I'm going to need this. I'm going to need this. Yeah. And now you're building the different components. Okay.
Yeah. So we have the thing that we call ping pong prompting, right? And we talk about knowledge and gems, and we're doing a whole bot building workshop in June. And every one of these things, your AI results get better the more you feed it and the more components you have. So the way that I like to look at it, Mercer, and that's a really good question, is I like to represent, like, we're trying to, like, our result here is to build a landing page that looks good. But to build a landing page that looks good, you need to have a designer, you need to have a coder, you need to have a writer, you need to have a subject matter expert, you need to have some kind of research in the market and what people are looking for. You need to have all those things to build good marketing. That's 5 different roles. And in the past, I had a marketing agency with 50 employees. About 15 of those employees were those things that I just said. That was 15 people to do a campaign for the Nestle's of the world, for the 3Ms of the world, right? Like, you'd have 15 people to create a single landing page, or not, maybe 5 of them on your team at a time, but 15 people in your organization just to get a landing page out. And what we're doing is we're doing all these different things through different AI tools, and we're using best in class AI tools for each one, right? This is the best in class market research one that I've found for speed. And then we have a best-in-class writing one. We have a best-in-class, I'm going to do some emails. We're going to do some ads, those different things, like the copy piece. And then we're going to do imagery as well, all throughout this podcast. So we have our demographic profile. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to start writing copy. Now, our copy, this is a Google Doc sales letter bot. And so we want to, create a new sales letter. Okay. And then we want to, and then it's like, it says upload a Build-A-Buyer profile, which we just built. And so we're going to take this thing and we're going to put the Build-A-Buyer in there. I like to put it at the end because sometimes they don't pay attention. It just gets so long that they forget your other instructions.
So you kind of keep it in its own little section.
Yeah. I put it at the bottom, and then I say here, and then what I did is I had Mercer talking to AI. Oops, that's not it. And just say, what is the idea behind this workshop that you want to do? What are we going to accomplish? So this is like a brain dump of the product. And again, Mercer just used his voice to talk into it. And then he said, can you organize this for me? And this is how they organized it.
I just use Gemini for that. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So he just used Gemini for that. So we're actually going to offer this thing for $297. We're going to start as at the price. We'll see what the price ends up being. That's something we can use AI for, by the way. We can say, what should this price be? And like all these other things, like you can consult with AI. Mercer has gems that he's going to show you on that workshop about how he consults with AI to come up with things like pricing and everything. Okay. So I'm going to drop this in there, and I'm purposely not having this perfect because I want to show you how a good AI bot can take something that's imperfect and still make it good. And then also force you to get better. So I'm gonna put this information in here, and it's gonna spit out an entire sales page in like no time. So it's working now. See, it's reading. You want it to read a little bit, right? You want it to take a while to read. That means that they're actually looking at stuff. Okay, so before they do this thing, they have some questions for us. So this is where we're going to answer these. So what specific AI tools are you teaching? We are teaching Google Gemini. We are teaching Notebook LM, but that's like a bonus throw in. Are you going to get into any of the video stuff at all, Mercer?
It's all through Gemini. So yeah,
yep, anything that's in Google Gemini that's included in your Google Gemini account for Google Suite is on the table. And so we can get into specifics. If you can do some research there, that's great. For number 2, how long is this workshop, Mercer?
3 hours.
3-hour long workshop. It is virtual, meaning that it's on like a Google Meet or a Zoom call. And it is, it's, do you know the date yet for the workshop?
Not yet.
Okay. We don't know the date yet, but let's just assume that it's going to be, I'm just going to put a date in there as a placeholder. Let's call it July 12th. Okay. And then we'll work backwards if we want to. Will participants get any resources? What will they get if they take away from this thing? Do you know yet?
We'll give them the bot. I mean, they'll have the bot builder kits. They'll have the scripts. They'll have the prompts that we use. So all the things that I'm showing them how I'm doing stuff, they will also have access to.
What about giving them access to the 3 core bots over at Profit School? I know we're going to deliver this at Measure U. Could we give them access to the bots that we have in the Profit School?
Probably be within Measure U, just because the brand confusion is a problem. And so I'm going to try to minimize that. So this will be a Measure U product for Measure U community.
Okay, perfect. And then we might need to put some bonuses in there, but and then number 4, what specific measurable outcomes can they expect? And actually, it's not really listening. It's not picking up your audio all that well. So what can they expect? You say it, and I'll type it.
Everything we've talked about. So being able to build a bot, comfortable with prompting, being able to create their own stuff, be able to get through the measurement marketing framework. Having a little more confidence, quite a bit more confidence actually about how they're working with AI to actually free up their time, get more done.
Could they build an entire measurement strategy?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
For your company or clients?
Yep, for sure.
Okay, perfect. So we'll just do that in there. And now it's going to start spitting out the page. So it's going to take all the inputs we have. So notice how this is the cool thing about really good AI bots and AI use is that if you're not clear, they're not going to give you a crappy output. They're going to ask you to get better stuff, right? So stop drowning in marketing data and AI confusion, master marketing framework with Google Gemini in just 3 hours. Breakthrough workshop has for overwhelmed marketers who need to integrate AI now before competitors leave them behind. So this is more of like, as you can see, this is like a sales letter that they have. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not going to copy chief this too much, other than if we don't like the headline or anything above the fold, we would want to do that sooner than later. But I want to let this thing cook a little bit, because I want to show you how this is really about how well all this stuff here, how Firebase Studio will actually give you the output you're looking for and create all the page sections and everything based on what we've already built. So I'm going to actually just do that, because we can always change headlines later and we don't have to even change it in here. But I'm just going to take this text. Now, this is crazy. I did this yesterday. I've done this a few times. If I just say update the text to this.
So you've basically created your lander, which is your template.
Yep.
And you kind of got that going. Now you're just like, hey, take this template and just replace it with this text.
Okay. Yeah. And the cool thing about this, before we put the input in there, is that it knows that we have buttons that are yellow. It knows that this green is one of our colors. It knows the colors that it sees. It knows that there's a blue in there. It knows that these other things. And it will start to design things with this.
All right. So that's the before.
Yep. So that's the before. So I'm going to say replace, not update. And we'll just see what it does. But I did this yesterday for Profit School, and it created a design better than I could have done in 10 iterations.
Wow.
Just from this raw copy. This is pretty raw.
That's so cool, because it's such a time suck when you're trying to get some of the stuff done, and you want to get, especially when it's not your specialty.
Yes.
Because that's when you get in your own head and you're like, well, I got to make this better, and it doesn't quite look like this other thing, and
Exactly.
And this just seems to potentially take a lot of that heavy lifting.
Yeah. And note that this is a pretty So it's a complete overhaul.
It's a complete overhaul. That's good.
Yeah, that's good, right? And this takes a while. Just so you know, this will probably take 3 to 5 minutes. So we can either edit out the piece, or we can just talk about what we're seeing here.
But this is because it's actually coding. Like it's right. It's building everything else and just coding it all.
And as you can see, I crashed the whole thing.
Okay.
So
as sometimes happens with AI.
Yes. So that means that I gave it too much. That means that it's too much copy. So I'm just going to go ahead and say I'm going to do this part. And just update. So this happens a lot in this tool. I won't lie. It's been frustrating. I've lost like half of a day sometimes just getting stuff going because of.
Can you save as you like? It's a good point. Like if you did change like 80% of the page, like actually the page was changed, and then something happened, would it glitch and then everything's gone, or does it save as you go?
It's still there, but basically it won't build past that point. If it overwhelms the virtual machine.
Interesting.
And see, I had this experience just the last few days, is that once it gets to a certain overwhelm point, this is all runs on a virtual machine, and they only give you so many resources. So if you're if you're having them change everything at once, what they end up doing is they run out of RAM and or memory, and it just crashes because it's like a buffer overload error. So then you can do it in smaller chunks. Okay, so that did update it. Can you keep the 2-column layout for the header section?
Do we want the video too in there?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's what that is. Okay. So keep the original layout, replace the, and try to make the copy fit with the original layout was kind of the goal. Okay.
And then you say leave them behind. Make hey there and beyond a new section below. Let's just see if this is able to do that. So this
is so cool because it is you're just talking to it. You're not having to say like, oh, use this H1. Like you're not speaking HTML. You know what I mean? Like you're not saying make that, like, which I imagine if you were, you could get more specific. So if you are comfortable with that stuff, then it's like a little more granular control you have over the tool. But even this is like that's really good. Now the other thing I'm noticing on the one issue thing that's on the lower left hand corner.
Yeah, that's
worry about
there.
Those. Okay. Cool.
I'll just get rid of that. You're right. It's something that I can't even fix. So I just it's like a security permission thing because we're on a virtual server, I think.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So there you go. Stop drowning marketing data in AI confusion. Master the measurement marketing framework with Google Gemini in just 3 hours. And then it's like, can you add? So this is where once you get one landing page, it gets so much easier, Mercer, because you just keep on doing stuff. You just basically pull from what you have.
It's like you're creating a template, and when you can get it to understand, like, oh, this is a template, then you can just crank.
Yeah. So then this is where I give feedback back to my bot.
Mm-hmm.
Like let's see, which bot am I in? This one right here. Okay, here we go. So the main headline is 2x too long. Can you make it brief or shorter? Because again, like I don't think anybody's gonna want that. Like nobody's in. Like it's just too. Okay, so here we go. Fix error.
And is that what you typically do? Like whenever that happens,
that's the first time I've seen a fix error button. Usually it just craps out, and then I just have to fix it. But
hey, I guess it fixed it.
Yeah, we didn't bring over the necessary import. Oh, so they didn't have the import, so it was missing some files. It's so funny. They're like, yeah, we didn't do that.
It's like, why did we
go back to Lander? Oops, and also
and you can't. Yeah, I was going to ask if you're typing there, does it screw up what's happening on the right hand side?
Well, actually, like if I type in Lander, it won't even show up on there. So that was the problem. Okay, so it didn't bring over these extra things. So there you go. Learn more and get started. And then I'm making a shorter headline. Master the measurement marketing framework with Google Gemini. Transfer your marketing data in just 3 hours. I like that. That is more brief. Okay.
The other thing that's interesting too is you asked it for the bullet points and it came up with those. because that wasn't provided in the copy. Those 4 bullet points. It sort of when it read the copy, it was like, all right, well, here's the 4 things, right? They may not be the best bullet points, but at least it tried and it got something in there, which is great. And then you could be like, make these better in someplace else, right? Like the copy bot or something.
Yes, exactly. Precisely. So Google did this. Gemini did this for us. They came up with copy. They come up with placeholders. No longer lorem ipsum. This is the new lorem ipsum, right? And it's so much better than lorem ipsum. Master the measurement marketing framework with Google Gemini. Transform your marketing data in just 3 hours. Let's get in there, right? It's that's the big benefit. Measurement marketing in Gemini. That's what this thing is, right? So I'm going to take this part and I'm going to say, can you? And then the next thing I like to do is, and I want to actually do that now. So this is an image here. Now, because we're cutting the copy so much, Mercer, like I cut this down by at least 50%, they're not going to necessarily know what this thing is. So that's why I've been switching to an image here and just creating an image that describes what the workshop is in a nutshell. Okay, so the way that I've been doing that is I take the whole copy doc, and actually, so
that is maybe where I got the expanded from.
Copy. I want the bullet features to be 2 to 3 words only, and you improve them, not expand. And I want you to choose the button text. Okay.
So this one, it did get the bullet points. I didn't realize that we were in the copy there. So I missed that part. So the bullet points were in the copy there, those 4 bullet points. That's where it grabbed those from. But it didn't do the descriptions, which was cool. Like it knew like I should not do that part.
Well, yeah. So it actually, what it did is it expanded on these things that Google had.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And it just left the button the exact same.
You grab those and then you put it back.
It expanded text. It didn't replace text.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So now you're saying, go improve the bullet points now. Okay, I'm with you.
And this is what they say those bullet points should be.
Nice.
And I always have to say hero section, Mercer, because it could just go somewhere else on the page. Usually it's pretty good at context, but I don't want it to go update this at the bottom of the page. I want this at the top of the page.
That makes sense.
Now, what I want to do is I want to say, so this is good. So I'm going to take all the copy that we have here, and I'm going to say, this is a little trick that I've been doing lately that is pretty fun for me. Is I'm going to take all this stuff and then I'm going to go into Gemini, which we love. And I'm going to say, you are sending instructions to a professional designer to help us make an image to describe our product in a poster. This works for some reason, poster form. Please ingest this text and send a brief to our designer with specific and definitive design instructions. Okay.
So this could be like an infographic or something like that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, poster, that's why I say poster, because it ended up being how I created the Battle of the Bots thing, and I like that. So they kept on calling it a poster, so I'm just going to call it a poster because that's what they call it.
I found that same technique. If it uses a certain word, you're like, you like this word, I'm going to use that word.
Yep. Yeah, and then I specifically use the word definitive here because they always hedge. Gemini's like, it could be this or it could be that. And I just want to take something and then paste it. I don't want to choose the options. Honestly, I don't want to think. I want them to do the thinking. That's what we're paying them to do. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And they are thinking. Like, this is Gemini 2.5 Pro. They are thinking, right? So here you go. Project title: poster design for AI training, blah, blah, blah. And they say A3 or A2. So I probably need to fix that. I think that's going to be vertical. Although we could do vertical. I mean, so this is a design decision. We want vertical space or horizontal space? I've been doing horizontal because that's just how I think. Maybe we'd be better off with vertical. Like, that's, AI could probably recommend that to us, but I'm going to go with horizontal because it fits the layout that I just told us to do. And you notice sometimes these things just have weird outputs, like, hey, mandatory information. So this
I have found, because that's called a markdown box. It's just having it say, put everything in a markdown box. I can copy and paste it all. And then it puts it all together.
Yeah. Markdown's really convenient for everybody.
Because it'll give you a little copy button too.
And it even has color palette, you know, and it knows our colors apparently, which is interesting because I didn't tell it that.
Yep.
Okay.
So now you're just copying and pasting.
Yep. So I'm just copying and pasting. Then what I do with this one is I go into ChatGPT and I say create an image, and I drop this in there because this is the best at conceptual art with getting the text right, getting the imagery right. It does everything together. Now, sometimes I ping pong back into Gemini with what ChatGPT creates to make it work.
Meaning you take the image from ChatGPT,
because it can do optical recognition. Yeah, so I'm taking this image and I'm putting it back into here, and then I'm saying, hey, can you fix the text? Can you fix these things that are wrong?
Like, I want it to be more like this. How would you now change the prompt? And then you go back. That's cool.
Yep. And while we're doing this, while we're waiting on the image, I'm going to go ahead and get some more sections in here. And so let's just say remove all sections from create your Measure You account for free and beyond. Okay. And then it should just get rid of everything, and that hopefully won't get the memory underrun because we were like getting rid of everything and adding stuff. That's why that thing buffered out.
That makes sense. Now you're going to break it into sections. So you just did the hero, and then and obviously working on the image for that. Now you're moving on to the next section and the next section. Okay.
And this is all AI copy, everybody, just so you know, like, and we've approved it. Like we might tweak some stuff for sure. Like what I do is I build it with the AI copy as placeholders just to get the format right. Then I go and use this window to say, yeah, I don't like this. And then I'll just paste it back in there. Hey, this doesn't really work for me. Can you make this shorter, longer, more descriptive, blah, 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 blah. Now, what I'm trying to do is, okay, so it's short. So there we go. There's the page, right? So it's good. And while I'm at it, I make the background color in the hey there section white. Okay, sometimes they get white. Sometimes I put the hash code in there. It depends on how it's feeling that moment. But let's go and check in on our image. Finally master AI for marketing measurement. Okay, so that's interesting. This is not bad, Mercer, but it's so much.
Yep, it's a lot.
So this is probably in the instructions, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So let's just...
It's got a little text artifact and some stuff.
Yep, there's so many things right and wrong with it.
And it might be like you sort of go like, I need it in the style of an infographic.
Yep.
And then it maybe does that.
Yep. So I think that might be the poster design. So I'm going to go back to Google and say, this needs to be more minimalist. I only want the workshop date on there, not a register button or anything like that. And then, but it does tell, it is specific, which is good. That's really good, right? And it even says avoid clutter, but and avoid generic AI imagery. Like these are the things that we want it to do. Reduce text that you send to designer by 75%. Headline and date and vital details. Only let the image do the work. Okay, so I want to see if this. We don't know what we're going to get, folks. Like I could have prepared this beforehand, but you wouldn't have the fun journey with us, right? So text is just likely to get all this junk happening here. You can see how much junk happened with this thing. It's trying to do too much, but this was a poster. Maybe the poster was the wrong word to use there, you know?
But this is just refinement too. Like this is just how you learn. You're like, okay, now, because at a certain point, I would imagine you would have a pattern where you're like, oh, this is the prompt we use for images for this particular type of page. Yeah. It's the hero image prompt. Here's how we do it, and just flip out this section.
Yeah, and then once you get a chat that works, once you get the instructions you like, you just use the same chat over and over again. You name it that, and then this is your Measure You graphics one. I have a Profit School graphics one, and guess what? Every time I do it afterwards, it gets better and easier. It takes way less time because they've refined it. And that's the advantage of having a chat or a gem or some kind of reusable thing, because then it meets your brand. First time you do it, and this is true, like, like the dream is that first time you do something, it takes say 4 hours, second time 2 hours, third time 1 hour, next time 15 minutes. That's actually what's happening here with That's AI when you do it right. It's really the exceptions that are the problem when your whole app crashes or whatever, This just changed the background color to white for us. Okay, so I'm going to start adding in sections while I'm waiting for this thing to paint. Okay, so that's still waiting to paint. Let's go ahead and add our sections in here. And again, this probably would have been better for, let's see, so introducing the training, and we'll go down to there, okay? Okay, add.
And at this point, you're sort of gutting it out, right? Like, are you saying this needs to be a section kind of from like a marketer viewpoint where you're like, this whole thing needs to be a section? Or are you kind of, hey, here's what I think is enough text that it's, like, are you coming at it from a marketer standpoint saying this is a section? Or are you coming at it from this is as much as I can safely grab so that this thing doesn't tweak out again?
Kind of right now, like, is it more technical decision
or
right now it's really the safely grab because it's going to break otherwise. It doesn't always have to be that way, but in this one, that's definitely the case. Is that and then the other thing is a section to me is basically I don't like to scroll within a section. So this is already too long. This is for I'm designing this. So what I'm trying to do, Mercer, and this is like I'm trying to take a sales letter, which is traditionally just a wall of text that you have to go through with like headings. And I'm trying to turn that into something that is the same text and intent, but the design it's scrollable.
Yeah.
Which we've never been able to do very well, as you know. So this what it does is it actually adds sections there. Here's what makes this work.
So you do, different. Okay, that's cool. Yeah.
Plan.
So it is breaking build, it up. That's cool.
Launch. Now, here's what I like. Here's a little hack that I'm doing that I think is cool. And I'm sure you all will too, because everything's cool. But I take other stuff we've done. So I'm on another browser right now. So I'm going to take here. I'll just do it. I'll show you. Okay. So I'm going to take this, something I did. I like this treatment,
And are these the images that you were talking about? Like you created those images out of ChatGPT, or is that
this image is from ChatGPT? These are actually just our slides for the workshop for the.
Gotcha. Okay. So you created those, but the image, that Jeff image obviously was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah. So that one's just straight from ChatGPT. So I'm just going to take this thing right here. Okay, so that's done. Can you make plan, build, launch sections match this design, but keep original text and headlines, etc. Just the design. Okay, because the cool thing is once you've found something that you like, which I love this, I can use that everywhere. But it's the spirit of it. Do you know what I mean? Not the I don't care about the text, but just match this thing. So it's going to find that, and then you know where your image placeholders are if it gives you that, and you can decide, do I want images there or not? For this one, I did.
This is what I would expect then. Is I'm going to expect it to make boxes. They would have some sort of drop shadow, some heading thing up at the top that's a certain color, some image, and then something with like a bullet.
Exactly. That's probably what it's going to do. We don't know for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is. These are already bullet points, right? So I think it should know to do that. And to give that, and it's doing it right now. Now let's check in our image. AI measure. Yeah, I really hate this. I'm like having a visceral reaction to how bad this is.
This is the designer in you. You're like, nope, not that.
Okay, these. Can you build an image based on this brief? And I think maybe I did it too. I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. I'll take the blame for it, but this is not a useful output.
But it's also important that you do that too, which is nice because it is always user error with AI. It's not, AI can't do images. Yeah. It's, I need to learn how to get better at getting AI to do the specific image, right? Which is what you're saying. You're like, okay, I created this somehow, so I need to figure out how I did it.
Yeah.
And go back and change your prompt and attempt something else or something different.
So like, here's a useful output that I got. Like,
that's cool.
I think this looks great.
Yeah.
It just says brand, not brain. Here's how I did it. I said product image concept. And this is from the designer. This is literally from Google, right? So I don't know what they did differently here. So then I got to go look at my Gemini chat and figure out what I did wrong. And not even wrong, just like what was different. You
could probably just take this, right? And say like, use this and be like, here's one I used before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And just say like, model it like this. This is what we're trying to do.
Exactly.
You know?
So, so like it's like side A, side B, and I'm doing almost the exact same thing. Can you describe a graphic that goes along with this text to our designer? So maybe it needs to be simpler.
Mm-hmm.
So this might be a start over thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can you describe a graphic that goes along this text to our designer? And let's just take that text again. And it might just be too much text, you know? Like that's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, it's trying to fit the text in the image versus realizing you just need to, the text is there to help you educate what this thing is, and then you come up with an image that represents that.
Yeah.
Is the
exactly.
idea. Okay.
And then, so I'm just going to take some vital details and just try to make it so that it's not as overwhelming. Because when you give AI too much information, it needs to make a choice, and it's probably not going to make the same choice of you or the right choice, frankly. Very rarely does it make the right choice. And then, so I'm just going to drop less stuff in there and see if it can make the choice. Okay. And then I'm going to go back to, because I'm going to have to start this one over. I just don't like this at all. Versus this one, it was immediately like pretty close.
Yeah.
And then it just got a little better. But you see, I was trying to make puzzle pieces, and then it turned it into like a hanger that you put on a door, you know? Yep. And then it was like bra instead of brain. And then it just kept on getting worse. It just never iterated. So then this is where I had to go into Gemini to get their image.
I love your prompt.
Yeah, it's not for public consumption.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really bad. But
that's awesome.
I love so much about this though. Like this is it's exactly what I want. Your competitive advantage, and then it's like your expertise and the brain method. That's what it is. Your voice, your expertise, your competitive advantage is I was trying to say something there, you know, and I even gave it the text. You know, it just couldn't get it. It just kept on hallucinating.
Yeah. So that's funny.
Thank God I wasn't too verbose with that one. Okay. Let's give it one more time, and then we're going to move on. So there you go. There's your launch Mercer. It has an image placeholder.
Wow.
Build, plan. And then you put in your palette. Now you go back to the framework and you put in, it needs to be purple. And you give it the color, and then you have that. And then you say, this needs to be vertical image. And then you start working on the poster for that day. Here's the plan poster. And then you have your graphic in there, and it looks good, right?
Yeah.
Like this is getting there. So this is like, so for plan,
and obviously, if you wanted to be more specific, you can say, you know, make it purple. Here's the hex code or something like that. That's cool.
Okay, let's see how that goes. Let's see. Okay, so that was me showing you guys useful results and how I did it. It wasn't like rocket science. Can you describe a graphic that goes along with this text to our designer? And it did the whole thing. It created an entire brief. I think I gave too much information before. I was trying to be fancy, like making a poster and all that stuff. So we'll see how this one goes. So again, too much text. I just don't understand.
It is like a nice slide though.
Yeah.
You know, like I could see how you can use it.
I would actually put this thing later on. I would probably put it like right here, you know, but it's not the poster. Now, again, this is the one that I ended up using for Battle of the Bots. And it's like the name of the workshop, the big promise, the framework, and the puzzle pieces, and when it is. Like, because I want to.
Can you copy that and save that and upload that to Gemini and then say, I want something more like this.
Yeah.
Now give me the prompt that would generate something like this.
This is what I say by ping ponging, right? Like this is in order to get a better result, you have to get a result once, then you can start to go back and forth, but you have to be able to give it an example. And this is the same with a designer. If you're working with a real designer, you have to be able to give them the example you're looking for. It's not like it's exclusive to AI. Like when people blame AI for this, it's like, okay, that's what working with a designer is like. So you'd actually added the purple in there. It should know purple from our palette, Mercer. It's pretty smart to know that, like what our purple is it's creating object-oriented programming, right? It's creating these objects and it knows that from when we imported the graphic on the homepage.
That's cool. And you could always start it with like,
if I just go to the homepage,
yeah,
it's pulling that exact purple.
That's cool.
And now it's green. It should be green, right? These are things that you would that you just catch up on, But I don't want to slow us down too much. So I will try to get an image there. We're working on the prompt for this thing. I'd probably put an image in here just to break it up. This section, I'd make it more sectiony because it just looks like a big wall of text. This one I love because it adds the graphical treatment without a lot of burden. That's so hard to do, to like take text and to add graphics on it. But since we had an example of what we did, and this was like 7 iterations. I actually worked with our designer and said, hey, can you just put slides in there? Or she did that proactively. One of our team members did. And I was like, good job. This is awesome. I love this. Now we're going to use this all the time. Now we have this thing. And all I did is take a picture of something we did. This is a different Firebase Studio project entirely. This isn't the same project, Mercer. This is a different one. That's cool. But it's learning. It's learning from us because of things. If we want a Mercer box, why would I recreate one? I would just do this. Now let's add some more sections in here. We can tweak it later, but I want to get the build going. That's probably as far as we're going to be able to go. So let's see how much more it can do. So let's add new sections. I think we can do. Let's just see what happens.
So at this point, we've essentially broken into 3. What used to be the big giant prompt of all of it. Now you've broken into 3 main sections.
Exactly. This is the third one. Yeah. And it should be able to handle this, but you never know.
And I like how you're doing it like this anyway, because you can make sure like each piece is the way you want it, because you're right. I get why it was a lot, that first one, because it's like you wouldn't be able to get to this level of detail because it can't focus. It's trying to focus on everything all at once. And you're like, oh no, this little section do like this. Now it's got, because it knows that and how it's being designed, the rest of the designs should flow pretty, I would imagine, pretty consistently into this design. And it's got something.
And it takes apart a bunch of RAM and it takes a bunch of memory and, like RAM and CPU to do this thing. So that's why that's why it crashed.
Do you know if there's like limitations on this? Like in terms of like, other than the 3 projects, is there like you can only do this for 15 minutes or you can only do this back and forth for X amount of time?
There's no official limitation, but what I find is that about the 3rd hour, it starts to hallucinate. So,
but still, that's 3 hours of this back and forth. Yeah. Could you imagine? We've been doing this for not even an hour.
Yeah.
Could you imagine another 2 hours of refinement? Like that should be an amazing looking page.
Yeah, and then
at this point, you got most of the page built.
And Gauri, our designer, she does these things overnight. Like she's in Asia, and like I send her this, and it's done overnight. Versus it used to take a long time to get going because she had to make so many decisions, and it was like decision fatigue, even. But these things get done really fast. So this is almost done. Let's go check in our instructions. Here we go. So let's go ahead and create this thing now.
This is our revised Gemini prompt that we're going to feed
I'm
back
into
create a
new ChatGPT window.
Good call.
Okay, how do I do that? I'll just go to ChatGPT, and then you got to do the image, create image, and let's see what this does for us. And let's go back to the thing. This is all done. So we have the plan, build, launch section. Who is it for? I like that. What you'll take away. What is Google Gemini? Why Google Gemini? The testimonial treatment. Your investment.
It's a nice simple design.
I love that.
That's great.
Yeah, for accelerators, it's just free.
For accelerator members. Oh, it's cool. Yep.
That's not bad.
Yep.
Buttons are a little bit messed up, right? But that's fine. And you could sell this thing and this would be better than you could, if you did a webinar to host this thing or you sent email to it, with an image up here, I think we'd sell a decent number of these things because it's all in the product, right? This is what you and I have been talking about a lot, is like, we don't, if it's a good product, it should market itself.
Yeah.
But if marketing gets in the way of the product, then nobody knows if it's a good product or not. They don't know what they're going to get. So I'm just trying to get, in a nutshell, you can look at this thing and look at the fold and know if this is something that you want or not. Then if you want to get more details and you need to be, then you can keep on going.
Yeah. Just kind of make sure it's for you and that's going to make sense. Yeah. That's cool.
Add a bouncing arrow pointing down in the hero section bottom. Okay. And then I'm going to do here's where it gets really nice when you have other examples. So like, I like this. This is right for you if not. So I would take this section if I like this and they're not doing it.
And what you're showing here, this isn't, Gowrie going through and making these decisions and taking a blue box and turning it into that. You actually got it to give you those boxes before when you were doing Profit School. Yep. And this is an example of the refinement. So you would start with something that looks like this, but it ends with something that looks like that. And that's because you're going the back and forth going, oh, more like checkboxes or more like X's or whatever. Okay.
Yeah. Like this is like a lot of text, which I don't, it seems like a lot of, I mean, these are all vital components of a page,
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like they're bad. It's just, I'm not getting any visuals to stop my scroll to show that this is for me. Like I have to read.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I'll do another example of a graphic in just a second. Once I want to see all I'm having it do right now is just add a little bouncing Chiron thing right there, which seems to work. I like for the design, like all of our folds say, keep on scrolling.
Yep.
And we had never done that before. And I'd asked for that a million times and it's there. Like if I like these bullets better, that's why I wasn't really worried about the bullet design. It's like, I'll just make it better later. Like I'll just take something that we did and make it better. That's one of our things that we say at Measure You and Profit School is make it better later.
Yep.
So I'm going to try to turn this into a graphic. Or I'd make it side by side even, So let's work on that. Let's see. Okay. So I have a few things in the hopper right now. So I'm looking for a design. That's not the design though. Here's a design. There you go.
Better.
Wow.
It's so funny how when you give it an idea to come from, it goes like, I got you.
Dude, I am like sort of in love with this. Not totally in love. Yeah. Like you're probably like, I don't know about that. But like, I wouldn't say actual insights because that's basically everybody just scraped Avinash's blog from 20 years ago and like I can't stand that term.
Yeah.
But proven frameworks, your marketing data, Google, Gemini AI, and then whatever this one is.
Yep.
I like everything else on it.
That's cool.
So what you can do is you can save this thing. I'm going to save it offline so you don't look at my files. And the cool thing is, this is where the ping ponging and everything gets to be really fun for me, at least, is that I can go into here and I can add that image just to see how it would affect our design. So I'm right now, I got out of Prototyper and I went to code mode.
Okay. So Prototyper is kind of like the GUI interface.
Yep, exactly. Yep, exactly. That's where you talk. Yep. Then I need to add a folder in here called public. Oops. All right. See, this is like a web interface. It's too slow for me. I'm typing and it's not done working yet. So that's my bad. Got to be patient, Jeff. Okay, so public, and then I'm going to drop that file that I just created into public. Okay, so this is now on the server. Okay.
Okay, so you just copied the path now.
Yep. And this is the thing, we can put this into Canva and fix it. If it's all is just one word, we can just fix that in Canva or whatever.
Or just generate it in Canva in the beginning for those that have that.
So now I got to go back to my lander. That's the other thing that's sort of frustrating here is you got to go back to your URL to see that. Then I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say replace placeholder on hero section with that. And this is how we'd put our logo in there too. I mentioned that earlier, that if we want our logo in there, we're not even going to have our logo on a landing page, most likely. We don't usually have this stuff on a landing page. So,
And for some of this, like you could, like going back that you showed the code bit, you could just probably go into the code and just flip it out if you knew where it was, right? Or Control F to find it, or something for these placeholder images. That's cool.
Yeah, we could hot link to a remote image.
Yep.
I have found that adding images into here does seem to eat up a lot of memory, so that's part of why I don't want to do all the images. But I think for the hero section, to know the size and to know what it looks like, it really does make me make different decisions on here. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
like if I have more space and I would want to sacrifice that space to make it longer so that it's more visible, I would do that. But isn't that how much better this thing is by using an example and by showing them what you want? So the cool thing with AI is all you need to do is get AI to do something once, and you can almost always reverse engineer it. And that's how you get to be consistent. Like if you were just doing this the first, because it's like a coin flip. First time I did it, I got something that I liked. Second time I did it, I got this crap. Like I hate this.
Yeah.
Like it just, I don't know what it is. Like I just despise it. Like, and it's like, okay, well, I could just give up. Wouldn't you just give up and say this? I should never do images again.
Or you just go, AI doesn't do images.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
yeah.
You know, and it's like, that's not the case, right? It's just, you just got to keep iterating at it.
Yep. Yeah. It's almost like every day when it doesn't work, you just use the other tool and see what it does. And that's how you get caught up with their capabilities. People are always like, I only need one tool. And it's like, unfortunately, well, I wouldn't look at it as like, what's the one tool I should use for AI? It's like AI is going to save you 8 hours of your life, right? So spend 30 minutes of that 8 hours you saved trying it in a different tool. And that's all I'm asking of you. So you still get 7.5 hours back.
Yep.
But to spend 30 minutes of that doing the other tool if you don't like the output. It's only if you don't like the output. If this is perfect, then just move on. So there we go.
Nice.
So I don't know if you like this or not. I don't hate it. I would add some more text. I'd probably add some bullets there, But that's just like, I maybe add the logo in there, and then get rid of the nav. I think I broke a project by telling it to get rid of the navigation, so I'm not going to do that here. That's something I would tell our designers.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really like this graphic design. I know this isn't the perfect colors or anything, Mercer, but like it's getting there.
Yeah, definitely.
Then they go down. This part I think is a little bit. So I would actually turn this into. I would just do a graphic and then take the text. So I would take a graphic and see what they come up with. Can you create a graphic lower on the page now that summarizes this text? And that's a graphic instruction. Let's just see what it says. So now that we're getting useful results, it starts to make the next result better and the next one better and the next one better.
Now, out of curiosity, why aren't you doing what this prompt is? Because you're using Gemini to create the prompt for ChatGPT. Why not just give it to ChatGPT? Have you found that hasn't worked as well? Or is it just...
It's funny.
Why would you not start with this in ChatGPT and say, hey, create your prompt and then...
Because I never tried it.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm just
this worked.
Curious.
I got this result, and I was like, I'm just going to keep on using this thing.
I get it. I'm the same way. It's like, hey, if it's working, it's working. That's cool.
Yeah, and so that's it. I haven't tried it in here because I got it to work in Gemini. It was a frustrating day one day, and I just like, I'll try it in Gemini and see what happens, and it worked.
You're like,
but I can live with this.
That's cool.
And actually, I might even make this one. I might even say this one should be horizontal if we want it that way. Like, I don't like that it's that long. But that's,
I could definitely see it being a little smaller on the main.
Yeah, exactly. That's taking up too much space.
Yep.
This would be an ad, though.
Yeah, totally could be.
Like, I would run an ad with this. Why wouldn't you?
Yep.
And it's not like it's not over promising. It's just literally here we're doing a training. So I'll see what that one looks like. So here we are. We have our page we're working on. I'm trying to get this section a little bit cleaner. The other thing I wanted to do was this part. Who is this for? What you'll take away by Gemini? It's just too much bullet points in a row without a lot of text. So I would go back to my copywriter probably. I'm trying to think of like how I would do this differently. This is where you can get stuck sometimes because you're like, all this is good, but is it good there? That's the biggest thing is like, is the copy could be the best copy ever written, but does it match your design? And does it make sense for us? In this case, I don't think it does, because this is like, okay, yeah, we're going to launch. Here's the day. It's super explanatory. So then I'd be like, okay, well, the copy is good, but it doesn't really match our design. So then you either need to find design components or copy components to change. One of the things needs to change, right? You either need to change the design or you need to change the copy. Well, how do you change the design? You go and look at designs. And it's not just mine. You know, you go to onepagelove.com. I believe this is what it's called. Yeah. And you just look at landing pages.
Oh, gotcha.
Like, okay, do I like any of these things? You know, okay, it's a graphic with a, you know, it's a picture of a product. It's a picture of a phone. Oh, I like that this is hand drawn, you know.
So this is a good onepagelove.com is a good inspiration.
Exactly.
Kinda. That's neat. That's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, you just look at, okay, I like the,
because honestly, I wouldn't know what to do if I was like, well, I'm going to be inspired. I'd be like, I would know like some top brands that maybe I follow or something, but then you're stuck, you know, with
exactly
1 or 2 things.
And you can use this as your base point. This is when I first started Profit School. I used another site as a base point, and then I just designed it around that because I didn't have a design for it. So that's when you start fresh. You say, hey, I really like this design. Another one is coolers.co. And it generates a color palette for you if you don't have one. And they're complementary, right? So it's like these things work together.
That's super cool.
So you can just take an image of that and it'll go forward. So that's how I'm talking about design. So you find something
how would you do the who's it for, who's it not for? Because on this page, the one we're looking at now, it was a different treatment, right? That. So how would you get? Is like, do we have the text enough to build that piece?
They didn't build that section. So this is where you start to work with your AI as well. So it's like we just identified a missing section, yet we have these other sections that are sort of running on, right? So it's like, go ahead.
There's the who it's for, who it's not for, right? Or is it?
No,
it's who it's for.
This is who it's for, what you'll take away.
But it doesn't have.
There you go. Yeah. Why Google Gemini? Okay. So I would say this is a really good point, Mercer. I didn't even think about the distinction because I didn't see who it's not for. That's why I was like, oh, I can't use that design. But we just go into here and say, can you expand on this section to also include who it's not for? And then the other thing is, a lot of times I'll go in here and I'll put my copy in there and say, hey, how would I improve this? And then they'll find things they missed. It's ping ponging, man. We're always ping ponging, right?
Exactly right.
There you go. Here's so let's
here's what it's for.
This is awesome. That's freaking cool, Mercer, because you just totally like got me unstuck, right? So update the who this is for section to have this text. Oh crap. And then we'll see what it does on its own. But then I forgot to do the design part.
I guess you could have stop, right? Can you just stop it?
Yeah, I can just stop
it.
It's weird when you stop it. It does. Okay, yeah. So let's just stop it. Don't push enter, Jeff. And then we go into here, and then you say, and this graphic treatment. Okay, now it puts the image in there.
What was the graphic treatment?
I just
just copied. Okay, so because we didn't see that on the video, so you were just screen grabbing. You copied it and you just pasted the image into it. Okay, cool. Gotcha.
Yeah, good call. Yep.
I see the image there. Okay.
And then I would probably do the same thing for Why Gemini. Like, can we create a Gemini versus other things, right? Because that's sort of boring. So for the Why Gemini section, can you compare to other LM AI tools and how it's better for?
Be curious. I wonder if they have in there that they're already paying it. That would be good.
Well, because they could just say no additional subscriptions. They could say needs it no.
It's included with the Google Workspace account. They say that. Yep. Unlike all these other ones, native Google integration, marketing data, future-proof investment. Yeah, all true.
So I want a side-by-side comparison.
That's cool. And this is kind of like the this is like the marketer part of you where you're like, okay, but the audience is going to need to know this, or that, you know, whoever's going to be reading this I need them to know why we're doing this. Hence, let's talk about this and show them and come up with these prompts.
Yeah. Within reason, right? Like I just look at this thing and I'm like, it's sort of boring. Mm. See, this just crashed again. Mm-hmm. Which is weird because it wasn't that much.
And that was our who it's for.
So I just sometimes I type in finish and it works because it's like, oh, I'm gonna go do this thing again.
I have noticed that too when it's like, I can't do this anymore, and I'm like, please continue. And it's like, okay.
It's literally just CPU and RAM. Like that's the thing is like we're borrowing RAM and CPUs on Google's.
Oh yeah, it's not.
You so haven't completed the who this workshop is for section. Please proceed. And maybe it's because I pushed stop before. That's why I always like to let it complete. So then it gets like to be a toddler if I don't.
It is kind of like the finickiness of it. Yeah, I get it. But it's new technology, right? Like this is what it's, I mean, this is every time I go through something like this with AI, I'm like, this is the worst it's ever gonna be, you know?
Speaking of, like, it just completely forgot.
No idea what that meant. That's pretty funny. I wonder, could you give it that image and be like, what do you think? Is this what you intended?
Yeah, let's do it.
see if it could figure it out, you know?
Yeah. No, I like your line of thinking because I'm always just like, you're wrong, fix it. But you're like, here's why you're wrong, which is better. Like they need an example.
Well, and I like having it figure it out. Like I have done that a lot with prompts where I'm like, here's the result I got from this prompt. Is this the result you intended for me to get? He goes, well, no, I really want this. Let me change the original prompt and it'll go back.
Yep.
Which is nice.
So while we're waiting on, it is working again. We are working on a graphic.
So this is important too because going back to like we're learning off each other here. I would have just reprompted it and copy and pasted that same who it's for, who is not for prompt that you gave it. But when you said finish and it was like I'm done, and you're like you're not done. You didn't do this thing. It went back into its history and it was like, oh, I guess he's talking about this, and it redid that with your images. That's cool.
Yeah. So again, this may or may not work. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm doing.
But we see the process. We can see
exactly. Yeah.
Oh, and the Hoots Workshop is not working either. It looks like.
Okay, so this says that it's there, but it's not. Prompt.
Yeah.
Let's just try refreshing this one. Sometimes it does. It just needs to refresh. It will say that it's there, but I don't see it.
Oh, that's good to know too.
I have to go back to Lander, so that's
why I go back to Lander sometimes.
Okay, so that didn't work.
So this is you pasting the image back in. So now you're taking that section.
Yeah, I'm not gonna give it copy. I'm just gonna say keep your original text.
So okay, this is a good technique because you're doing the same technique you kind of did in the very beginning when we gave it way too much text. It was like, okay, now it's not do it again. It's break it into pieces.
Yeah.
And make it smaller pieces so I can do, okay, first I'm gonna do this, then I'm gonna do this, because we're trying to do too much at once.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. Do you find it more useful to do the design element part of it first or the text element? If that makes sense.
Text can lead to design. Design can't lead to text. So usually it's text first and then design later.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
I like that saying. That keeps it easy.
Yeah. So this, okay. I sort of see the point of this, but it's just too subtle.
Yeah.
It just feels like
and it's dark and weird.
Yeah, it's like depression.
Yeah. Yeah.
Data depression. Yeah. So maybe that's just the wrong concept. And again, so not everything's meant to be a graphic. Maybe this is just meant to be the text. Mm-hmm. You know, I would say like dialogue box with quotes, you know. I would take these concerns and make them like a quotes or something like that. I might make this thing smaller. maybe I put the graphic right here again. I would put this on the side, Can you, it just crashed again too. So this is where it gets to be frustrating.
What do you do at this point though? When are you out of like tokens or whatever at this point on Lander and you're kind of stuck where you are, or can you reset it and continue on eventually?
Yeah. I go work on something else. Basically, if you can't get the same thing to happen,
yep.
Can you update? Let's just see if it does something else, because this one doesn't involve a graphic. So I'm guessing it's trying to read that image and it's not working. So if I read to this thing a third time, I would say, can you make a side-by-side column? What works for you? What doesn't work for you? And that's what I would do.
Do you remember how you got that initial? Is that kind of how you got that initial image in the Profit School?
I think it was the way the copy was written. So maybe if I just put the copy in there too, because I have the copy now.
Yeah.
But I was trying to get this design to match. Maybe it can't do this design. Because this is our design and this is like our version of their design, right? So maybe it's because we push stop. Honestly, sometimes that happens. It like never clears out its buffer and it just got stuck there. So we'll see. Like this next one will tell us if the whole project's screwed. Like if it crashes back and it says Firebase Studio again, that means that we're going to probably have to end this episode.
And then what do you do with this then? Let's assume that happens. Are you just dead in the water and you have to start over from scratch? Or can you like take this, like, because this happens in AI a lot where it just sort of runs out of space. It's done so much stuff. You have no more tokens left. It's going to eat its own tail now. The conversation just will never get better. It's just going to get worse.
Yeah. You can go into here and you can hit restart.
Okay. To
restart your server. And I've gotten it to work after that.
Okay.
But if it's in the code and the code keeps on crashing like a never ending loop, I had to get this one I call Profit School broken. Like that was my swan song, my crown jewel, until it just stopped working. And now I can't use it anymore. So I had to create a brand new Profit School project.
Gotcha.
And that's
are you duplicating the existing one, or is it? Oh, I guess not, right? If you're
I had to build it from scratch, and it was pretty frustrating. There you go. This worked. Wow, look at that. That was the instruction.
But also look at the hovers, like it. It's got little interactive. That's a nice looking. That's just not like a copy. Like I would have just done a spreadsheet table.
Yep, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like I would never have gotten it to look this good. Bard. Haven't heard about Bard in forever. For those playing Trivial Pursuit, Bard was the original name of Google's AI. Probably really good that they got rid of that one. But this isn't bad. You got like in 90 minutes worth of work, right? Roughly. You went from an idea, literally, to, okay, here's this. That's pretty good. And to your point, like, let's say you spend another hour and a half on it. So you got 3 hours total, which is probably, I guess, probably a realistic expectation, that, especially with the nuance and everything else that you kind of do. But like you said, then you've got a template. You're like, hey, we're going to take this page and now we're going to do this other promotion, use the same template, replace it with this text, because the structure is going to be the same. Everything else is going to be the same. And it just gets faster and faster and faster. So it's worth spending that initial time to build out your
and templates. All these elements are in there now in this project. So the next page would be half as much time.
Yeah.
And see, I'm doing alternate. I did a bunch of stuff. I removed a column. I added icons. I alternated colors, and I made the header style.
Wow.
Built for measurement workflows.
It's definitely, that's funny.
So you'll have to TBV this thing, but that's the whole point, is that I want you're probably not, this wouldn't be the version of a page you'd create, right? How many hours would it take to create this thing our traditional way? It'd be about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And we'd hate it.
It'd still not be done. Yep. It would have been frustrated and just like a wall of text, just like, I didn't even care. We just got to get something out.
Yep.
Yeah. And I don't have the design chops to see, like, I don't see design like you see design. You know what I mean? So it's like, for me, like, you can tell something looks good, and me, I'm just like, I'll look, it's like, I don't know. What's the market, think. I get out of the way as fast as I can. And then measure it, right? Which is the whole point. But I love this, to be able to, like, I never would have thought of, like, asking for the table to even do a hover.
Yep.
And you didn't have to.
Yeah. That's what I love about this.
Good.
Because this is for apps, it actually makes it feel like it's mobile first. It is mobile first. Everything is mobile first. Like it's automatically.
That's the other thing. We didn't check the responsiveness of this, but it should be responsive
automatically.
Yeah. That's freaking excellent. That's something else I know we've done poorly in the past, is like with WordPress, you build a page and then you remember to look at it on mobile later. And you're like, oh, that's not going to work.
Okay, so I can't even get to Lander yet, but I'll have to refresh that. So while we're doing that, I wanted to show one more thing, and this is this is how AI can write emails. So I'm going to take our copy. Can you, let's see. I'm going to take the original copy and just show you how easy it is to write an email about it. And I can do the build a buyer too, but I don't think I even need to do that. But right. So this is pretty generic. Write an email going to this page. I didn't tell it, anything.
What it's supposed to do or anything. It's going to figure it all out.
I got to ask, when was the last time you looked at your marketing data and actually knew what the hell was going on? I'm quietly thinking, never. Don't worry, you're in the majority. So like, this might be too generic for us,
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty comprehensive, but this could be like a newsletter. This is when I talk about like going to a newsletter style. This would be a good general newsletter versus more of a direct response.
Mm-hmm.
And this would have a subtle call to action to the thing, right?
Yeah, because this is really just throwing the copy in the
exactly. So we'd have to refine this thing. But with the templates we have, so we have our templates over here. And then if we just go into here, this is our template. You can just drop this into there.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have an email that you can get into your whatever your email platform is. Or you'd probably refine it. I'd refine this a lot. You can do your subject line testing,
Mm-hmm.
A and then B. And this is what I do for our newsletters. I usually write it. The other thing that you do is you can just talk into the bots. So that's how I do a lot of my emails. I want to do an angle for an email where we're talking about how everything that they thought they knew about measurement marketing is actually not the same. And the reason why is because they probably thought that measurement marketing was hard or took a while. It's actually easier than you think. And we want to show them how to make it easy. So if they want to do measurement done easy, then they're going to want to click on this email to go and learn how to do measurement the easy way. So this is a totally different angle than what they had. That one was literal, because I just pasted, all it had to go on was the page.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you know about measurement marketing is wrong. Measurement marketing is not complicated. Here's why. Because this, all right, I need to call BS on something. Measurement marketing isn't actually hard. Totally,
Mm-hmm.
I discovered this by accident playing around, and now it has context that it's a Gemini workshop,
Mm-hmm.
But this is like the whole thing is like I was doing it with a client and I did it as a Hail Mary. And then what happened? In about 7 minutes, I got clearer insights than I gotten from weeks of manual analysis. The kind of information actually showed me how to fix it. At first, I thought it was
so this is something that's like you could kind of take and be like, okay, that's a cool story. What story do I have that's real?
Yeah.
That follows that pattern where it's like, oh, that's a good hook. Like I kind of
Yep. So this all I do is talk into the microphone and then it usually organizes it for me.
Yeah.
So then I'd be like, this is great, but let's not sell in the email. Let's actually make this so that it's more getting them to even see the page and to know that we have a workshop going on. So let's do more of a soft sell and let's stick with the credibility around we had this discovery not that long ago and we want to share it with them. That got pretty long. But this, again, each chat has its own memory, so that's a good thing. I don't know why these subject lines aren't capitalized,
Yeah.
Okay. I need to tell you something that was blowing my mind. Like I accidentally discovered something. So this totally changed it though, like it got rid of the I've been lying to you thing. But this is shorter. This is probably more your style. maybe not, right?
Yep.
What happened? Shocked me. At first I was a fluke. Then I tried again. Same result. Bam. Then it hit me. We've been measuring marketing way harder than it needs to be.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like I said, the story is not the real story, but the destination is exactly what happened. Here's the starting point. Here's the destination, right? And it was like, yeah, that's cool. Now I could give it, like, if this was me doing it, I could talk to it and be like, so here's actually how it happened.
Yes.
Right. But I wouldn't even think to say that until I got this.
Yes.
And I go, oh, I see what you're trying to do. Yeah, that's cool. Here's my actual story of how that happened, because that's basically what happened. And then, and then it puts in a personal thing. Now you've got a real authentic email that's in your own voice, because you're literally using your voice.
Exactly. Yeah, because you're talking to it.
Yeah. This is really cool. So we can kind of go through this process too. And I know we're coming up on 90 minutes.
Yeah. This has gone on for a while. Let's see what the table looks like. Let's check in on that. So here's a table.
Wow, look at that.
That's really cool.
So cool. And what was the prompt you gave it to do all that?
I told it to do a bunch of stuff. I said, remove the barred column, add green checks to the Gemini, a red X next to ChatGPT and Claude, make the tables vary in color so that one row is white, and then make the header bold and in a
that's just you just told it what to do, and it did, but it's like a paragraph.
Yeah.
And then boom, all that. That's so cool.
It's like even this, if I just said make this.
You know, the other thing is working with designers and developers in the past too. It's like, I don't know that I could have given that paragraph to a designer or developer and they would get that right. You know what I mean? Like,
they might.
AI just kind of figures it out and goes like, I see where you're going with this. Like, let's do that.
So this is 90%.
You can see how it's coming together. Yeah.
We're really putting together. We need to do some graphics. Yep. We're going to be working with AI, but this is a very good introduction to vibe marketing. And so I'm just going to end it here. We have some vibes. We have good vibes coming. This thing might show you the new structure, but you're going to see this live when we get into this workshop. We don't have the dates settled yet. We don't have the timing settled yet, but you can see the benefits of it when we do this. So if you want to keep on learning stuff like this, make sure that you subscribe to this channel on Profit School, so listen to the podcast, and participate, because we're doing this stuff. We're doing this in the back end. We're starting to surface it. This is our first try at doing that. We think we really like the results. Got so far in less than 90 minutes than we've ever gotten in pretty much anything we've done. And so if you want to join us for the ride, join us for the ride. If you want to try these things out, try them out. And if you want to join our community, you can ask us about your specific experiences. We can grow and learn together. And we're going to be doing a lot of these live workshops where we're going to be answering your specific questions. So make sure you follow us at Profit School and Measure You and get the best stuff that we're working on, see these really cool techniques, and up your marketing game significantly, up your operations game, become the AI first business that you know you can be.